Broadcasting from the Symphony Studios in Marietta, Georgia, it's time for the High Tech Women Podcast, brought to you by Symphony Technology Solutions. Listen in as we speak with and learn from inspiring women who have stepped up and stepped into careers in technology and construction. Now, here are your hosts. Hey everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the High Tech Women Podcast. I'm your host today, Katie Galley. And in the Symphony studio with me, I have project coordinator with Symphony Technology Solutions, Dannerys Parra. How are you doing, Dannerys?
Good. Nice to be here. How you doing?
I am doing awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I'm super excited to learn more about you, Dannerys, because we both work for Symphony, just in two different locations. And so I'm really grateful that we finally, get to meet over Zoom.
Yep.
So Dannerys, of course, the nature of this podcast, wanting to learn more about incredible women who have jumped into the construction, the technology space, and learn about their journey. So for you, Dannerys, can you share with us how you initially got into this space and just how you share your journey a little bit with how you got the job that you have today?
Okay. I started right out of high school because they weren't paying very well. And my mother was in this field. And it's very physical, but because of that, they paid better than obviously working at like a clothing store or something like that.
Right.
So that's how I started, and I did a lot of work for AT&T. That was my main customer, was a lot of central office and wireless stuff for AT&T. And the construction ended up happening only like 2 years ago. I've only been in the construction side of telecom for 2 years.
Wow. So initially then, before getting into the construction side of telecom, what was the nature of what you were doing with AT&T on that side?
It was all installation, pretty much like what we do here, running the cable, a lot of fiber work. But it was already in finished buildings. Like they have these offices, they're called central offices, and they've already been built out and everything. So you're pretty much just adding equipment to what's already existing.
Okay. Gotcha. And so with that, what was the learning curve like? I mean, I'm imagine installing and running cable, that must be a pretty involved, situation. So how did you, what was that learning curve like for you coming right out of high school?
Oh, it was a shocker.
Yeah.
Because I'd never done anything, very hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. I mean, it's made me more responsible because the hours are I would work from 6 a.m. till 4 p.m. So I didn't really have that, where you go out, like I didn't have that normal lifestyle. So it made me very mature.
Yeah.
Very early on.
I bet. I mean, having that amount of structure at that young of an age, I mean, that I bet helps you a lot getting, especially into later in life with that discipline, and then eventually into, growing through the telecom and the construction industry.
Yes.
Yeah. So Dannerys, I mean, from that time at a young age, really getting involved in telecom, pulling cable, and then growing today, what you said, getting involved really in construction in the last 2 years. So what was that transition like for you, and how did it ultimately bring you to Symphony Technology Solutions?
Oh gosh, when I went from central office work to construction, it was horrible. I'd never worn a hard hat before in my life. And it's, oh my gosh, it was a very dirty environment. So at first I did not like it. I mean, I remember my first couple of months, I was like, yeah, I need to go find a new job. This is not going to work out. But after, you see things completed with, when everything is up and running, then you just have that satisfaction, that you made that happen. You know what I mean? Like my first construction job was at a hospital actually. And to see patients then move in, and connect the devices and the EKGs and all that stuff on data that I tested, it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
So it started off rough, but, now I actually like that. It comes together so beautifully.
I love that. I mean, that must be an amazing feeling to see something from start to finish, but then too, to see the finished product of someone like in a hospital moving into that room and you helped put that all together for them so that they could thrive in that space.
Exactly. Yeah, it's wonderful.
I bet. And Dannerys, so with this, then I'm being able to see things from start to finish and being involved in the construction space in this new way. As a project coordinator with Symphony, what are your primary roles and responsibilities? How does it differ from where you came from with AT&T in the telecom space?
Well, since I've been doing this so long, my responsibilities really haven't changed. I've always managed like a crew.
Okay.
Is what we call them. And it's, between 4 to 6 people, depending on how big, the job is. So my responsibilities really haven't changed that much,
Yeah.
I just set up as far as like what I do here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here, we set up, well, we run all the cable first.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do everything from termination, labeling, testing, troubleshooting with the customer is a really, really big thing that we do here that differs actually from AT&T, because when I worked there, it was all pretty much cookie cutter. It was like, you install this, if it turns on, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Here, we deal with the customer a lot. If there's any issues, any emergencies, we're there to troubleshoot, make sure that it's not on our end. Mm-hmm. So that's a new thing that I've actually had to deal with. I've had to deal with a lot more people than I'm used to. I'm used to just dealing with one specific customer. Here I'm dealing with the speaker guys, as well as the TV people and the access control people and the wireless division. So I deal with a lot more people now.
Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like it's all different avenues from within a project, I guess. So depending
Mm-hmm.
upon what part needs your most attention. And so then Dannerys, can you walk me through, I mean, you said you deal with more people now and it's a little bit more involved, especially when emergencies come up. Can you walk us through maybe like a day in the life of what you go through from beginning of day to end of day?
Okay. So today, for example,
Yeah.
we had some cables ran in already. Right now, we're actually about to get American Airlines up and running. All their ticket counters and kiosks and the e-bids, those are the screens that let you know what flights are coming in and out. Mm-hmm. Which ones are departing and arriving. So, for example, today we terminated all of our cables at the field side, which is the ticket counter for mm-hmm. American. And we terminated that. Then we go ahead and go into the telecom room, which is where everything gets connected to the equipment, like the switches, which is what then gives off the internet.
Okay.
So what we deal with a lot here is a lot of Ethernet cable.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we are providing all of the data for all these computers to be up and running into big routers, which are just pretty much like big modems, like what you would have at your house. Okay. So they're just that, but at a commercial scale.
Wow.
And so we prepare all of the terminations for that and get all the jumpers ready. So then the airport just comes in and plugs it into the switch. Mm-hmm. That way, then those computers go live. So today, that's what we did. We did a lot of that. We went ahead and terminated the ticket counters in American and went ahead and terminated them in the telecom room, went back and certified them with a tester, make sure that there's no fault in the cable. So we turn those results into the airport, and then that pretty much now takes away any responsibility we would have had for that cable. Because as of today, October 28th at so-and-so time, we verified and certified that this cable is now good. And now if anything happens from this point forward, it is now your responsibility.
Got it.
So that's what we did today.
Okay.
Right. And then after that, that's the most critical part, is terminating and testing. After that, it's just we put the face plates on to make it look pretty. Like right behind you, I see like you have like I think that's like for like a TV, like a little coax cable there behind you.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah, so we do that. We do that also because we have TVs, and we put those plates on, label them, make sure that the customer knows if there's ever an issue, they can go back into the telecom room to that specific location at that port, and they can troubleshoot that cable. And those are just cosmetics.
Wow.
But we do that always after.
It seems like that's never a dull moment. That you can
Oh,
do
no.
all manner of things on any given day.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And then our biggest thing is that the customer will go in after and connect all their computers, and then they're like, oh, well, it's not working. It's not working. And then we have to rush over there, like the fire brigade. And then it turns out that they were just in the wrong panel or something like that,
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
But
no matter how detailed we get, because we try to get as detailed as possible so we don't have those issues, because we don't want those issues, because it also makes us look bad if they think, even the thought of them thinking that it's our cable, you know what I mean? As
Right.
far as our reputation goes. But still, we have issues like that all the time.
Right. And so, like you said, putting those fires out. So even if there isn't a fire, if there's a perceived fire, making sure you get there and put it out. Yeah. So Dannerys, I mean, clearly you've had this incredible journey from starting at 17, 18 years old and getting into today with the construction space and pulling cables and learning so much along your own journey. If you were to encounter a young woman entering into the space that you're in today, or any of the spaces that you've had the chance to be a part of, what piece of advice would you offer her?
Of a young woman coming into our field?
Yep. Yes.
Oh, I would say to just go in blindly, because there's so much that us women can contribute. This is a very male-dominated career, but women, we're so much more, oh my God, I just lost the word.
Okay.
We're so much detail-oriented, so we're very, very focused on making things look nice, and that's very, very important in this career, because we're just so used to men being so rough, and just throwing things and not really caring so much about the way things look. And that's where a woman's touch comes in, that we want everything to look nice and pretty, and we wanted to put our touch on it. And I feel like women are so important in this field. We brought in 2 girls now, and I'm really, really hoping that we can expand, because the girls are just phenomenal. I mean, we get kudos all the time for the telecom rooms, for the way that they look and how pretty everything looks. Even a label, a woman would make sure a label is nice and straight. You know what I mean? Well, someone else might just, go in there and put it lopsided, and it doesn't matter. But I just feel like women just take it to that next level. And if any woman would have an opportunity to get into this field, we would make it so much better, because we have those attributes and those characteristics already built in.
So being able to provide, like you said, that balance,
Yes.
bring that detail orientedness in the day-to-day operations.
Oh, yes.
Well, Dannerys, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me and share your story and offer your insight. If someone wanted to learn more about you, learn more about Symphony, where might they do that?
Oh, at the Symphony website.
Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode. To learn more about Symphony, you can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube at Symphony Technology Solutions, and on Instagram at Symphony Tech Solutions. Never forget that wherever your pursuits take you, cling to the truth that you are absolutely made for a time such as this. See you on our next episode.